Heidi ho, Heidi ho. How the hell are you? Well, don't adjust your screens. It's somebody different. It's got your man Gene from Buck What You Heard. I'm joined by my guy Joey. What's going on, man? How you doing? Long time.
Absolutely. It's been a while, Gene, and happy 316 day. What to everybody out there. So, yeah, it's a little different. We don't have maybe all the things going like we normally do, but we're here to have a great show. We came off a weekend of football, wrestling, and so much more. And it's just really good to see people you care about and you want to talk sports and wrestling with, because even though Gene and I text, we don't get this chance often. So it's good to be here, man.
Yeah, I got to do better, man. It's just been a lot of remodeling and just finding a place that lighting is good and all that other good stuff. Eventually it'll happen. But how's everything going? I mean, just like I've been watching your show, Cleve and Me is still going strong. You guys are killing it. And, shout out to you guys it's a labor of love when you do a show and you do it for a long period of time. It's a labor of love, man.
Yeah, and honestly, it's no. By the way, for those that don't know, Cleve and Meat. Well, first off, what do you do? And it's been years by now, but it is our wrestling show where we cover all things wrestling. And honestly, Gene, the reason Cleve and I do it is to really keep in touch and just talk wrestling amongst us fans. We're not, making $1 million. We're not making even $100. We're just having fun talking wrestling, and it brings the people together, kind of just like football. What this main show is about, of course, on the Buccateers on this fine Monday. But we love our wrestling. You love wrestling. And it's a good way for people to just talk and not think about all the real life struggles. We're in a group chat together. I don't know your daily problems. You don't know my daily problems or successes all the time. And it's just good that we could have a USA moment where we debrief and talk sports, wrestling, and more.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's what it's all about. Like, we've been talking about the offseason. We've been talking about free agency. And if you're listening, you know me, this is like my least favorite time of the football season, just because this is where people have too much time on their hands and you're overthinking things. And ultimately, you're not going to know what you have until game one. So, I hear people complaining on one side. I hear other people that are optimistic. I hear people that are in the middle, and, I hear people that are indifferent, so it just kind of depends on how you view things. How do you see it? And for me, you have to trust the process. You either trust the process or you don't follow your team. So, like I've heard a lot of people complain about, Jason Light, our general manager. I have to trust the process. I can't make him go. I can't get rid of Todd Bowles, which a lot of people would love to see, or, whatever the argument is, you kind of just have to wait and see what this team is going to do. And we'll start out with the Bucs, and then we'll work our way over to the Colts. And
let's do it.
Who the heck knows? We may be talking wrestling before it's all over. So, but I just you want the best for your team. And I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of fans that get upset and they're infuriated and they're like, well, why is this happening? And ultimately, it comes down to this is what the general manager thinks this team needs. This is what the head coach thinks this team needs. And there are so many other variables that go into this. And, when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to look at the catastrophic injuries they've had over the past. I would go back to 22. There's always been that one player that's been injured at the most inopportune time. And then you have such a steep drop off from your starter to your bench players. And it's not like a small drop off. It's like you're falling off a cliff in some situations. I mean, you look at the Buccaneers and, the Buccaneers still have not addressed the linebacker position in a way that I think would sustain them over the years. And they've made some moves, but I'm talking the youth movement. I'm talking about getting guys in here that are going to be here for a while, you're going to be able to build your franchise around. So again, it's just one of those things that you're just like, well, how is this going to work? And I don't know. What are your thoughts?
See, and I kind of I forget all the days are rumbling together, but I was with Tones, Kenny B, and somebody else the other day, and they were kind of all talking Bucs, and I let them all talk Buccaneer ball because, you guys have been around it, you're the fans, but I've been around it just as long because of my brother's fandom, obviously.
Right.
And here's what I'll say. I love one of your first statements. You said, let it play out, because I get it. The first few days, especially now in free agency, we all know everybody wants that big name, big move right off the bat. But you're not going to get Tom Brady every offseason to join. Right. You're not going to have that happen. And I do realize for the first time in a few years, the Buccaneers have had in a spot where the coaching's more questioned, even the GM's a little bit questioned now. But let's see what happens at the end of the day and let it play out, because you can't really figure out a team until you get to the regular season, even because when the draft happens, you get more trades to happen, more free agents will sign, the veterans hanging out there like I'll just name D-line because that's where I know, like a Clowney, Grant, who we all, can't stand him. But a lot of these veteran Bosa defensive ends, sometimes people wait till the draft goes through and then those guys get picked up. And to your point about, because the Colts face the same problem right now with linebacker, we have a big hole there. I really hope we sign former Colt Bobby Okereke. Fun name to say. I think that's probably why I do it too. But
Okereke,
when you miss, Gene, it's funny. If you look at years past, and especially the Bucs over the past couple of years, like you said, hey, and Katz kind of said it, Katz the other day, if everybody stays healthy, the D-line might be perfect, but guess what? We know Cansey's injury prone. We know Vita Vea is getting a little bit older. The edge rush has not been there. They've tried to piece it together. Hassan Reddick was the latest test there.
Yeah.
And even though he had a good pass rush rate, he wasn't getting to the quarterback. He's coming off a little bit more of injuries, and he's a little bit older. So one person goes down, the whole plan can get ruined. What the Buccaneers need to do this year, to me, is make sure if people get injured, the depth is in place where you can continue the operation.
I think
we're on the same page there, Gene, of if you lose even if Levante David resigns, if he gets injured or Cansey gets injured, can you sustain to win football games in the National Football League?
Yeah, that's what it all comes back. That's what it comes back to. And again, this is not me being a negative Nancy. I've been watching this team, and November has been atrocious for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the past 3 years. It just has. And I mean, you can put whatever you want to on it, but at the end of the day, the best ability is availability.
Yes.
And if your guys are on the sidelines, it's good you signed them. Whatever, but they're not out here helping you win games. That's what it comes down to. Now, again, it comes back to coaching. Are you coaching these guys up, the guys that you've brought into your franchise? And these are guys that you're expecting to step in and do something. Are they being coached up? Are they being put in a position where they're successful? And that's the second part of this, because there's nothing I can do about who they bring in. All I can, I will say this, the fans deserve better. Last year, the Bucs needed one game between November and December. The one game, and it would have changed the trajectory of everything that they did. And it just didn't happen. And when you look at this lineup, it makes you've got to question, was it motivation? Was it injuries? What was it that, put us where we were? So I don't know, man. I just have to sit back and watch, because these coaches, the general manager, everybody watches more film than me. I mean, these guys watch thousands of hours of film, and they know what they're seeing. So I get caught up in some of this sometimes, but at the end of the day, I have to take a step back and say, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Exactly. And that's the best way to put it. Shout out, what up, bud? What? I should have said that first. But looking at it, and we talk about it all the time, both of our teams, my team started 7-1, your team started 6-2. The combined second half, to my painful father's chagrin, who had to watch both teams because those are his two favorite teams because of Tones and I, when it combined 3-14 down the stretch. And it is hard, Gene, what's hard, you forget, people are so easy to forget these days. It's a lot easier to remember the second half of the season than it
Right.
is to remember the first half. As you mentioned, it took one game down the stretch before that Carolina game. If they would have just held on in a couple, or they would have came back when it got tough, outside of, the Rams game was a bad blowout, but outside of that game, you could justify a couple of games that could have
Third
went
and 28.
Exactly. And that's a little tricky though too, because just as close as they were to the playoffs, they could have easily went the opposite way and even had more losses. So I don't want our teams to think we were close and to just be like, hey, if we are healthy, which never happens these days, we can run it back and see. So as much as we need to stay patient, at the same time, it is going to be a very interesting process from here through April, through mini camp, through training camp, to see what really happens. I mean, as a comment just said there, I need to see where the outside pass rush is coming from. I said it once, I'll say it again. If you cannot get to the quarterback in the National Football League, you are not going to be successful. I keep beating a dead horse on that point, but it's a fact. If you just sit back, I don't care who the corners and safeties and linebackers are. If you're covering for multiple times, a lot of seconds, it's not going to work out. Now, I do like what the Bucs did with the past couple of moves. They seem to address the middle with the Panthers guy who could fill in. The players much better than I do. And then they did get Al-Qadim Muhammad, who came off a career high in sacks. I think he had 10.5 for Detroit last year. So it does seem like the Bucs are trying to fill those priorities right now. Maybe it's not, no, you didn't see Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson. But if you make those moves, you could also derail your team. Trey Hendrickson was past 30 years old, coming off of a surgery, and he just got buku bucks from the Baltimore Ravens over multiple years. Max Crosby, yes, it was shady of Baltimore, but we know he isn't very healthy all the time either, even though his motor never stops running. So sometimes we think getting the big name is always the right way. But sometimes if you get a collection of people like the Bucs have kind of done to me now with the Panthers guy and AQM, and I know, Bud, you might not, he just said it himself. I'm really excited about Muhammad. Get these guys in a rotation. You could get around Vita Vea and Kancey, but let these guys take over, and I think it might lead to some excitement on the Bucs D line we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Again, I am very measured by what I say. There are some times where I just get frustrated because if you don't know me, I hate the Atlanta Falcons. I hate the Bucs lose to them even once. That's just how much this disgusting organization just grinds my gears. I hate them that much. And I know I take it kind of personal when they lose, but at the end of the day, man, this is our team. We want the best for our team. I don't want to see this team lose. If this is who they're bringing in, if they get a draft pick and I'm not happy with the draft pick, I still want the draft pick to be successful. I remember the Logan Hall pick, and I still scratch my head over the Logan Hall pick. But, at the time, they thought this is a guy you're going to bring in, and he's going to be a guy that you're going to do something with. There's nothing you can do about it. You kind of have to just kind of ride it out and see what he does. So at this point, I think the big thing that we need to be looking at is the draft. What is Tampa going to do with the picks that they have in the draft? We've seen Jason Light do everything from trading up to trading multiple picks to, it just kind of depends on what's on the board. I mean, when you're sitting at 15, it's not as cut and dry as what it would be picking at 7 or 6 or 7 or something like that. So for me, I've always been a Jason Light fan. I will continue to be a Jason Light fan. It took me a long time, and being honest here, full disclosure, I was not on board 100% when Todd Bowles was the head coach. I was a huge Bruce Arians fan, and I knew what you were getting from Bruce Arians. He's one of those guys that, regardless of his age, he was always able to make adjustments with his team to stay up to speed, with the NFL, and not kind of like I don't know if you remember Lovie Smith. When Lovie Smith came in, Lovie Smith was running a team like this is 2003 or something, and just hadn't stayed, current with how everything else is going. So that was kind of my thing. But again, Bowles is the head coach. Nothing we can do about it. You just kind of have to ride this out and see what he does, man.
And you hit it right on the head there. I talked it a little bit about last week. When you don't have people who can change their ways, it can get frustrating. Yeah. And, you go back to Lovie Smith. Hey, guess what? His defense and his scheme, when he had Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, and that 4-3 bear-like defense, yeah, it was amazing for a decade. But once he went to Tampa, you change out some pieces and things happen. People adjust year after year. That's what it's about in this league, is adjustments. And I feel like people like Lovie Smith or Gus Bradley, D coordinator, who I mentioned before, he led the Legion of Boom. They try to always go back to the glory days, and at some point you have to make adjustments. And that's where I feel like I have to do a little bit more studying, with Todd and his defense. I know a lot of the complaints, especially from Zach and others on this podcast, will say, he's dropping people back. They should be rushing. At the same time, that's part of the scheme that they run. And sometimes you just need those players to also make plays. Now, what was interesting, what Kat said about the Bucs defense, was that in the first half last year, they were more middle to upper of the pack. And then all of a sudden, the second half, things kind of fell apart defensively, which is kind of interesting to me, because that to me more plays into is there a little less injury and effort coming out of the players, or is coaching, they're kind of tired of the same thing over and over. So that one's a little harder for me to decipher. But what's easier for me to pick apart, when you talked about the draft, Gene, you said it right. You always are open and honest about your opinion. And we don't know when these drafts happen, why does everyone have to be a Todd McShay, Mel Kiper? We're not all experts with these players. When we sign, when people sign free agent interior linemen, that move, I don't even know the guy. Look the players up, do some research on them, and we still won't even be knowledgeable at that point, but at least we can give a more insightful opinion. It makes me laugh when all these teams give a letter grade after the draft, A, B, C, D, or F. Yeah. Nobody knows. They have not played a down in football. That's why it's hilarious. You can grade the Buccaneers last season. If you want to go back and grade them and give them a D,
you have something because you have a baseline to work off of.
Exactly. And you have statistics.
And it's interesting. And I'm going to cut you off, but you make a great point, and I got to piggyback off of this. I was with Jason Light in Munich at the Bucs game. We were at the Hofbrau house drinking beer. But one thing he said, and I said it, and he looked at me shocked. I was like, it takes 3 years to know what you have in a draft pick. Because the first year, a rookie year, they could come out on fire. Sophomore slump happens. Okay, you've got 2 things to work off of. Third year, it gives you a clear picture of what this team is going to do. And so when I see draft picks, I'm like, okay, 3 years, 3 seasons. Let's see what they do. And then you kind of that's where you've scrubbed the first 2 seasons. Rookie year, maybe they come out on fire, or vice versa. Maybe they come out flat, and second year they pick up the game. And as long as you're seeing market improvement, you've got a return on your investment. But what I don't like is, oh man, he had a horrible rookie season. Let's get rid of him. Let's scrap him. It takes 3 seasons minimum to know what you have. There have been other players that it's taken longer to catch on to the situation, but for the most part, it's minimum 3 seasons.
And what's kind of funny about that, Gene? I love that 3-year remark, because Anthony Richardson, who will probably be traded or released at some point here, I wanted to give him those 3 years, because you need to see slumps, injuries play out. But guess what, Gene? What's funny about all this is our current coaching staffs don't have 3 years to wait right now either. Yeah. So when we're going into this draft, especially my GM, not so much Light, but we can't really pick that project in my opinion. It would not be smart to take projects at 15 who you think can benefit you, what you would normally do in a draft in year 2, 3, 4. The Bucs at pick 15 are going to have to take somebody who makes an instant impact this year, and that's very tough to do. And I simply mean for the current regime. If they go out and draft a linebacker, or pass rusher, they're pretty loaded in this draft. But they kind of have to go more on the side of that NFL ready, quote unquote, type of guy right now.
They have to be a starter, impact, sudden impact starter.
Yes.
It just, again, what do? Do you take the best player on the board? I mean, with where the Bucs are, where Todd Bowles is right now, you have to take the best player on the board. I mean, and it's got to be somebody that's going to make an impact as soon as they step foot on the field. And again, you're gambling a lot of these players. It's a gamble. So I mean, we look at Devin White. Devin White came out on fire, and then we watched him decline in real time. It's just crazy.
I want to ask you something, Gene, and not to cut you out, but we're going to both be doing that a lot because we have strong voices and we have good opinions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The people to come at us.
Acknowledge us.
Yeah. Acknowledge our tribal chiefs. But Gene, in all seriousness, I heard varying opinions. When it came down to Devin White, man, when that guy was blitzing on the Ball's defense with that Super Bowl team against the Saints, that was like a man on fire. You could cut his head off and he'd be in the right place at the right time. Was it more injuries? Was it him not progressing? Was maybe coaching a part to do with it? Because I saw him on the Vegas Raiders last season, and sometimes he looked really bad and out of place.
Yeah.
And then some other times he looked okay. But I know it's not a show about that, but I've heard a lot of opinions. What's your opinion on Devin White's demise?
I think that Levante David, he should give part of his check to Levante David, number one. He covered a lot of you could tell night and day when Levante David was not on the field and it was just Devin White. He looked lost. There are a lot of times he did. I'm not sure if it was where he just didn't. I don't want to say he didn't evolve. I mean, when he went to the Eagles, he looked lost in the sauce when he was in with the Eagles, and then with the Raiders, he just looked like, okay, it's time to hang it up. But at the end of the day, man, that's what it was to me, because you got a good front four. For the Super Bowl, you've got Sue, you've got Vita, you got all these players. You got a good pass, you got a good edge rush there, and then Devin White doesn't have to do a lot. He's just got to stay out of his own way. He was always been a liability in pass coverage. I mean, that's just always the way he's been. So I think that Todd Bowles was able to cover up a lot of the inconsistencies that he had and use a lot of his strengths where he could go in and blitz the way he did. But at the end of the day, when it came time to lean on him for his skill set, it just wasn't there.
And Gene, really quick, you brought up Levante David, which is very vital. Mike linebacker. Sometimes people always don't say that enough. But for people that might have been, a little bit sidetracked this weekend, busy, kids, family plans, I'm going to just go down a quick list of some signings that happened over the weekend for the people out there while Gene's running the show today for us, folks.
Oh, no, we're a team, man.
But you're doing a great job. You got the comments. You got the setup over there. So really quick, while you're doing filter and stuff, I'm just going to say some signings here. Christian Kirk today signed a 1-year, $6 million deal with San Fran. Interesting to me because they did sign Mike Evans. They did let go Jawan Jennings. So they're doing different in the room there. Also, Arizona Cardinals signed Devin Duvernay, one of the top special teams players from last year from Chicago. The Bills are signing Bengals safety Geno Stone to a 1-year deal as well. Also, the Panthers agreed to terms with O-tackle Rashad Walker. It seems like the Panthers have made a lot of moves to this point. Justin Fields today went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Does that mean Patrick Mahomes maybe is missing 2 to 4 games this year as it was for a 6th-round draft pick? And, Gene, I'll stop right there because that was the biggest news from today. We're going to obviously go right back to Buccaneer football and where we know our most information. But how do you see that? Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick, he's had his struggles, but he's also had some high points. I think he has more rushing yards than Patrick Mahomes does as in his entire career, which is crazy for the games played. But what do you see about that for a backup and potentially starting 2 to 4 games for Kansas City this season?
I think this is a good fit for Justin Fields, to be honest. And you look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold going to starting with the Jets. Sam Darnold going to the Carolina Panthers, and everybody thought that his career was over, and look what he does. He gets out of his own way, and they won a Super Bowl. So again, I think coaching, I think culture, and I think the right scheme, you can get a lot more out of a player than you could with just their raw talent. I think Andy Reid is the ideal coach for a player like a Justin Fields. I look at what he did for Donovan McNabb, who's like probably one of my least favorite quarterbacks in NFL history. But at the end of the day, I think that Kansas City is going to be a good fit for Justin Fields. And I think, as long as they've got their running game going, I think that they can.
Well, they did
he's
sign
in the
Kenneth
right scheme.
Walker. Kenneth Walker was huge.
I think that's going to be a big deal, especially, Andy Reid. He's an offensive-minded coach. I think he's just in a good system that will play to his strengths. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to make the most of that.
Yeah, and I mean, Gene, you talked about depth and getting it back to the Buccateers where they signed backup quarterback Jake Browning. From the outside looking in, to be completely honest, right, wrong, or indifferent, we still don't know. The jury's out on him. But I wasn't really trusting Kyle Trask to be that backup who could come in and win football games. I didn't really trust Teddy Bridgewater coming off the couch last year and trying to win a football game. I do believe now, Baker, he's going to probably, even at healthy, he'll probably miss 1 to 2 starts in a season when he's healthy. You needed to solidify the position. And I think Jake Browning was a good move there because he's proven in this league that he could play adequate football. Now, it will get a little out of hand if he has to play a full season, of course. We're not hoping that happens. But if Baker has to miss a game or two, I do feel more comfortable, just like the Chiefs should feel with Fields. I do feel more comfortable that if Baker went down, that Browning could step in and they could compete and win a football game.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to right there is, not being the interception waiting to happen, but being somebody that can come in and manage the game and not put the ball in harm's way, not put a whole lot more pressure on your defense because of turnovers, giving them a short field, but being able to come in and put this team in a position to win. So it's going to be, and with the Bucs running game, I think that's going to benefit him as well. He won't be called on to do as much. So, again, I think this is a good situation for him. I think he's got a good mind for the game, but again, that's just kind of one of those things. And to kind of go back to, you were talking about Kyle Trask.
Yep.
If Kyle Trask stood out, Kyle Trask would still be here. If Kyle Trask competed and showed market improvement year after year after year, I think he would still be here. So at the end of the day, he moved on. I'm happy with the move that they made, and he just didn't do enough to secure that backup spot.
No, and I mean, and a lot of people, Gene, will, what we saw on the field, there's a lot more to it. What the coaches see every day, 100%. From film study to the QB room, to how you act with teammates, to your workouts, so on and so forth. So much that people and coaches, even around the league, don't see that get a chance to unless you're inside the Buccaneer facility. So at the end of the day, I trust them to make a move. They pivoted last year. It didn't quite work out. But again, we talk about it all the time. It's not always those frontline starters. It's the depth. Because let's face it, especially if the QB of the defense is Levante David. You talked about how much he meant to Devin White. He is the captain. He is calling the plays. If that has to be replaced, I get it. They got Alan Zaloni from the Lions. That's a nice pickup.
Yeah.
But you're filling another huge hole if he does not decide to come back. I don't know what the timetable is on that. It doesn't really have to be too rushed, to be honest, because we have all the way until the draft before really firm decisions have to be made to me. But we just talked about Baker on offense, but defensively, that's the quarterback right there. And I don't care how old Levante is. He fits in like a glove when he's on that defense.
Yeah. for me, 2024, 2025 has always been, where's the linebackers? What are you doing in that linebacker room? I love Levante David, one of my favorite players. He's going to go down as one of the greats in Buccaneer history. But what are you doing to shore that up? You should never have. I mean, with depth, I can understand in certain places, but key places like linebacker, your drop off from your starter to your backup, it shouldn't be a cliff. It should be somewhere where somebody could come in and step in and just do something. And, sadly, the Bucs have not genuinely addressed that linebacker room. I'm not sure, what they do here or what this team is going to look like. But the one thing that's concerned me last year, and I was like, what are they doing at linebacker? When KJ Britt, again, they lost KJ Britt. He went to Miami. What did the Bucs do at linebacker? Was there anybody that stood out that you're like, oh man, I'm confident with the linebacker room?
I wasn't relying on Servace Dennis to make great plays, and
Yeah.
I'm not even coming at him. He did decent, but I wasn't expecting anything spectacular from that.
Yeah. But there were a couple of times where he got smoked like a Cohiba, and it's just, that's to be expected just because of who that is. At the end of the day, man, like I said, what are the Bucs going to do at linebacker? Because this is one of those key positions in a Todd Bowles a defense that you really have to have somebody out there that they can check up from the neck up.
That's 100% it. From the neck up, to me, more to it than anything else. And going off the comment, what up to Buck Skull
Gang? My man Skull Gang is back.
Okay, so you already know him. I'm getting familiar, but my comment on that, Gene, would be a hard no. And here is why I wouldn't draft receiver in round one. I do realize Mike Evans is hard shoes to replace, especially in the position he does. But the good news for the Buccaneers is they have a pretty deep wide receiver room, even with him leaving. Godwin, yes, he's older and could be injured, but he's still there. Abuka, he really shined last year, especially in the first half. Jalen McMillan, coming off the injury, got back into the fold. You have young guys under that who are ready to step out and make plays, the Johnson bros, kind of like they did last year. And to me, it's easy to sign a cheaper receiver who might not be the Mike Evans production, but look at Christian Kirk, who signed 1 year, $6 million today. Something similar to a player like that where he knows what he's doing. Like you said, he has it up here, which is very important. And use that first round draft pick on the defense, because I think with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensively, they can compete with anybody if their offense is rolling, which they've done a lot of the time. But it's the defense, and I know it's Bowles, he's the head coach, but that defense is where they need the most work. You cannot be getting in holes right away. The 3rd and 10 plus, Gene, drives us nuts when you're still biting your fingernail. We should be salivating on 3rd and long.
Yeah.
Instead, we're getting pissed off because they complete those plays.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I come back to is, what is this defense going to look like? I'm not really worried. Well, I am worried about the offensive coordinator. I have no idea what that situation is going to look like because he's never called any plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I tried that with Gizzard last year, and I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy does. And you know what? I'm just like, I'm not really worried about it because we have so much talent. We should be fine. But at the end of the day, now you've got this new guy coming in. I don't know what to expect from him. Is he going to be run heavy? Is he going to be a guy that's, using his players to their best abilities? Or, what is this going to look like? This is the Canales, Duval, and then Gizzard. And then we've had 4 different offensive coordinators, At some point you have to have some sense of stability. And it's just going to be interesting to see what that's going to look like.
Stability is the key. We talk about Zach Robinson. I know he's been with Atlanta. He's had a cup of tea with Baker Mayfield, but you've said it. He's never called plays for the Buccaneers. Until we see it, we do not know exactly what we're going to get. Now, they definitely put a lot of faith and eggs in his basket because, again, to me, Todd's job, even he's getting older himself, even if things go great, he's closer to the end in his retirement than he is to the beginning. This is a key move on offense.
Yeah.
We don't see it as struggling as much. I do like that they filled out the running back room now. We did see, by the way, Rachaad White last week go to Washington, where a lot of Bucs fans expected that to be. Kenneth Gainwell was brought in. But the one receiver, they could probably make that happen. Defensively, it's just scary to me because when you can rush the passer like they were in years past, it makes Todd's scheme look so much better and a lot easier to adapt to. This right here is a big season, and a lot of people probably – I hate when fans want to do this, but I have a feeling there's a good amount of fans out there, Bucs fans, that they won't mind if things go poorly because they just want to clean house, which is very upsetting to me. I think you try to do your best every year, and I hate when people say there is no wasting time. We don't even know how long we're on this damn earth. I don't mean to make it about that, but why waste any season? I want to go out there. I want the Bucs and Colts to kick ass.
Be competitive. Be competitive. At the end of the day, I just be competitive. That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm like disappointed in Todd Bowles, but who knows? He could turn it around. And if he does, I'm good with that. And it's just.
And guess what?
And
if
again,
he doesn't, you get a fresh start.
Yeah, 100%. The Bucs have not really been here, with Todd Bowles. They've been going to the playoffs and everything's been all well and fine. It's going to be interesting to see what Todd Bowles, how do you recover from not going to the playoffs? What does his team look like?
Well, I'll tell you right now, playoffs is 100% needed in both of our teams' future. Otherwise, as your boy just said in the comments, cleaning house is quite possible. I haven't really dove. I know there's a lot of draft questions being asked. We know the positions that need them. I will say this, bud, linebacker, you can find a lot of good players, not just on day one. What? Not just on day two. What? Day three of Day three of this draft. So I wouldn't be too concerned right now. I know linebacker seems like a huge hole, but hopefully Levante comes back. And then if you want to take a guy on day 2 or 3 to learn behind that would be perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Again, and what's Baker going to look like coming into this season? Is he coming in healthy? Is he when Baker Mayfield is healthy? And I honestly believe and I haven't heard this, but I believe Baker Mayfield was playing with a serious injury that impeded what he did in the second half of the season. I'm not making excuses. Always looking at his style of play and just kind of how everything went. There were times where Baker frustrated me last year. I was at the Eagles game and I counted like 8 times that Rachaad White was wide ass open and, a little dump off, you move the chains, totally different story. But, again, I'm hoping with this new offensive coordinator, you can get some things going and get Baker going. But the beginning of the season, I'm at a point where I don't even care about the beginning of the season. I care about November and December. What are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do to win games in November and December? That's where it's at. That's where you're going to know what you got going into the postseason if the Bucs get there.
That's 100% right. That's big boy football. That's like the precursor to the NFL playoffs right there. Bill Belichick always used to say it's what you do from December on that makes your name in this football league, especially. And both of our teams had a hot first half. Guess what? They don't like in some sports when you're younger, the first half champion makes the playoffs. No, we don't. There's no rewards for the first half, ladies and gentlemen. We all know this. What are our teams doing when it gets to wintertime, when it gets cold out, to get that January push? And if both of our teams don't make that push, there will be new identities and faces in the room. So it is critical that we play good football come those months, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen what Carolina has tried to do, and Carolina coming in with a new coach, even regardless of having a psychotic owner, they've made some really good moves. They go to the playoffs. Atlanta, they get rid of some dead weight, and they're trying to change the identity of their squad. The Saints, same thing with the Saints. And the only constant has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles has a chance to right the ship. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, and I mean, I say the same thing in India. It's time to shit or get off the pot, quite frankly. And if we can't do it, I mean, I have an offensive coach.
Your ownership, she's not playing around, man. She's got her clipboard. She's looking at everything. And, I love that kind of passion. It's not like Jerry Jones Jerry Jones, where he ruins the whole culture. She wants to win, and she wants it for the city. So, she's in it. She's 100% invested in it.
No, and you hit it on the head there. I mean, it is a tripod of daughters, but at the end of the day, the one that people make the jokes at or say is on the sidelines, which guess what? She's been doing that for a decade. It's just noticed now because she keeps getting close to the top and is now
But I think she's got a little bit more say. Her dad's not around.
Oh, definitely. No, I'm saying now she's the face that runs the place, kind of like you say the term in wrestling with that. But she is definitely the final boss at the end of the day. I'll even go there and take it a step further. And she is the decision maker. So I love that she's actually trying to learn. Guess what? You don't know all the ins and outs of the game. We don't even know the ins and outs of everything. So to be around it, the more you can adapt, adjust, and listen, I think that's great stuff. And putting your own print on the team in the city of Indianapolis.
Yeah, definitely. Well, dude, what are your thoughts on? I know we were going to want to kind of shift a little bit over to wrestling a little bit because, man, this kind of pick your brain. What was your AEW? What was your match of the night?
I don't want to say the Texas Death Match only because I actually have to go back and rewatch it as I was really half asleep on my damn couch, just judging these wrestlers like I could be one, even though I'm half asleep, ho-hos and whatever over there. But I will say the Will Ospreay pop amongst his return was beyond. I know you asked me for a match, but that pop, him coming out, he kind of has a little new hairdo. He's been out a while, but when this song hits and people, spray, that place was lit last night. They did a great job of what they did in it, and I just love seeing him coming back. So I would also say on top of that, I thought the Young Bucks and FTR, of course, was
that was a barn burner right there. I love that. And again, man, it's just a total shift away from what you see in WWE. And I love that because I love the variety of different kind of wrestling styles. I can watch New Japan, but I like this, but it sets me up so I can watch WWE, which is a totally different pace, more storytelling, and it's just totally different. So I love all of it. And I'm just glad, like I said, what a time to be alive where you can watch wrestling and, you just so many different kinds and people are catching on to it.
And hey, we realize to all the fans out there that we're right now on a Buccateers podcast. Don't miss Wednesdays, by the way, Pigskin and Pile Drivers, where we do bring you fight night like UFC, boxing, WWE, AEW, and so much more. Because guess what? It's
great content.
It's great content. And wrestling is just like anything else you do. It frees your mind, lets you watch something, not think about real life. And what is better than watching people literally kick their ass inside the if AEW does anything fantastic, I will say right off the bat, the in-ring stuff is fun to watch. It's phenomenal. And they put on a show. It was on HBO.
I do want to try a couple of those moves on a couple of people. If it wasn't illegal, I would be doing. I know they say don't try this at home. Okay, not at home, but maybe in a store, or maybe a parking lot. You can't try it at home, but maybe you could try it in a parking lot.
And hell yeah, brother. I'll be get the tables, Devon, and let's get at it. As Bud says, what on this 316 tape? But Gene, just because she is a polarizing figure, everybody knows who Ronda Rousey is. Last night she showed up in AEW. She has a huge Netflix match for martial arts. She is not doing the UFC thing. She's actually been talking a lot of crap about TKO / the UFC and Dana White. So Netflix has actually been getting a card together, for those who don't know, where she's on it in an MMA match with a great opponent. Nate Diaz is on that card. The boxer, the Nigerian Knight, I'm forgetting his name right off the top of my head, but he's going to be boxing on that card. So Netflix has done some good. Yes,
Gumbawale. That's the running back for the. He was the running back for the Bucs. What is this guy's name? I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about.
I'll find it as I look up the card. But Gene, while I look that up, and see who is all on this card here, because it's gonna, like, Nate Diaz versus Perry Jones got decided today, but I'll find the other fight. What do you think about her showing up in AEW? Because a lot of people might think, hey, wow, she's showing up in AEW. What do you think about that dynamic right there? Do you think maybe just a one-off, or what do you think?
I've heard a lot of it. I like both products. If you're not doing good in one, you can go to other and reinvent yourself. Toni Storm is a perfect example of that. Yeah. Toni Storm was getting buried. She wasn't getting the opportunities. She gets over here. Tony Khan's like, hey, okay, you do your thing. And she's like blown up to be bigger than life in some cases. So seeing Ronda Rousey, maybe this is what she needed, just like somebody else going to another team for a fresh start. Maybe this may be something where she could kind of come in and do something. I'm good with all of it. It's all entertainment at the end of the day. And I think that's what we have to label it as, entertainment. And what frustrates me is these people are entertainers, and they're getting made fun of. They're getting just totally disrespected, and people are going overboard, and people are acting like they physically know these people. This is what I can't wrap my head around it. I've gone through different threads on X or Twitter. I like to call it Twitter, but there are people that are talking about these wrestlers or, sports entertainers like they know them, like they know what they do every night. And it's just like, you're weird. You don't know them. It's a character. It's a character, and they're putting on a show, and you're buying into it too much.
And I tell people, hey, you all watch TV shows, right?
Yeah.
Everybody watches
soap opera.
Look at all those soap operas or Love Reality Island shows where all these people get so into it. We're doing the same thing, just from a fighting perspective. And by the way, it was Francis Ngannou was the
Ngannou.
Yes.
Ngannou. Ngannou beat Deontay Wilder, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Obviously he's gone back and forth now between his professional careers, but he's had some big wins, and Wilder.
Yeah, he would have killed Jake Paul. Jake Paul wanted to fight him. That's the guy. Jake Paul wanted to fight that guy.
Yeah, Jake Paul in the last week. Oh no, Logan Paul wanted to fight Le'Veon Bell last week. Jake Paul wanted to fight Ngannou this week. Hard to keep up with, but you go back to famous people like WWE, for example. For those of you who know Vanessa Hudgens or Jelly Roll, they are two of the biggest wrestling fans in the world, and they're two of the most Vanessa Hudgens and Jelly Roll are two very famous people who could easily say, wrestling, that's behind me. I'm going to be. No, these are people who love the sport of wrestling. You look at
Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's got on a freaking video game.
Bad Bunny. You look at the Rizzler and all those guys that show up in AEW. And I know, Rhonda, as we just talked about, there's so many famous people who want to be a part of this business, because once you actually take the time, and that's the hard part for the people out there, take the time to watch the product and learn, you actually will really enjoy it, instead of sitting on the surface being like, this shit's fake, I'm good.
Yeah. Or this wrestler is trash, and they'll talk about an organization really bad, and then when a wrestler goes over to the other organization, then they're going and buying their merchandise. And like I said, it's just weird to me. I can't totally wrap my head around it.
No, and we're here to love it all. Right, Gene? That's what we do.
100%, bro. And what's crazy, hopefully Tones will let me co-host again or host again when he's out. But one want to say, to you and all the Buccateers out there, I wish that we could have had more of you guys on here, Zach and J-Lo. Hopefully, I know you guys are working or indisposed or, in witness protection or wherever the heck you guys are.
Mike Evans somewhere, possibly. That's my one shot.
But it's always great to get a different perspective, man. And that's the beauty of the NFL. That's where you can just get away from all this stuff that's going on in the world and talk about something that you genuinely love. And that's what makes this great, to be honest. And, having friends like you, somebody who I, never, outside of football, we never would have ran across each other. But here we are. We've come together and we found other common grounds. And this is what makes it great, man. And, I appreciate you guys and, everything you guys do.
And yeah, I mean, just to give it in its simplest form, Gene, we haven't even met in person yet. And whenever we get a chance to speak to each other online about wrestling or sports, it feels like families coming back together, the gang's coming back.
That's
together.
Right, man.
And you know why?
You cut a promo on me, or I cut a promo on you.
Right. And you cut a promo, and it doesn't matter what you think happens across the way or with some jabroni jackass across the line. But the reason we do that and stuff is because we are people that just want to have fun. We want to live, laugh, learn. Like the great Jimmy Valvano said it in his speech. If you don't live, you don't laugh, and you don't learn something in a day, you didn't complete it in the grand scheme of things. And
you've wasted that day.
Amen. I mean, you never know. This ain't a gospel speech. This ain't this knowledge, but from history, you don't know what's going on in everybody's life. So when you can get away and just talk wrestling or watch it, enjoy the product, we don't need to be on our phones 24/7. We don't need to have people always up in our grill saying how good or bad we are. It's just fun sometimes to talk sports and talk wrestling and be with the people who make you smile and laugh.
100%, man. Well, brother, I ran out of things to talk about. I was hoping we would have more people on here. I've kind of vented and said what I had to say. I hope the Bucs do well. I do want to say this. Mike Evans, big part of, for me as a Bucs fan, a big part of my Bucs fandom. I look at James Wilder, who was a big part of my Bucs fandom. I look at Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was another big part of my Bucs fandom. Fast forward to Mike Evans. What Mike Evans has meant to me and this team, you could be proud of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're going around wearing a Mike Evans jersey, and it's like, oh yeah, Mike Evans, we know he plays for Tampa. But, outside of that, what he's done for the community. And I love Tampa. To me, Tampa is the jewel of Florida. And I love Tampa. I love going there. I love giving back to Tampa wherever I can. I was at Gasparilla in January, and me being able to go and do volunteer work for the city of Tampa, and I'm not bragging about it. It's just letting you know I genuinely do care about, my city. So
and Gene, finish off your statement.
And just what Mike Evans has done, for the organization and for the city of Tampa, you can't put a value on it. And again, when I heard that he was going to San Francisco, it was kind of a gut punch because he's just been here, and just what he's done, he's produced every year that he's been here. Outside of him getting injured, I think he would have hit 1,000 yards this last season, but that didn't happen. I just hate that he went out on the sour note that he did. And at the end of the day, he's going to be back in the Ring of Honor, wearing that gold jacket. He will be in the Hall of Fame as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And these are the things that I have to look forward to. So go chase that ring, man, and play on a competitive team and do your thing. But I nothing but love for Mike Evans and his organization, his family, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Spot on. And one day in a few years on a podcast when he's retired, we could hear the full story on what kind of unfolded in Tampa. I'll be everyone makes their speculation and points, and we don't have, that could be a whole show, but I can't wait to hear from him one day on what kind of change between becoming a Buck lifer and leaving. I also wanted to give kudos to Michael Pittman Jr., who on a smaller scale delivered a lot to the city of Indianapolis in his 6 seasons there. He's a warrior. He'll fit in the Pittsburgh Steel City mentality very well. A lot of you Bucs fans know him from his father, Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
Just a bruiser like his father, grew up the right way, learned football, was a hard ass on the field, but a learner off of it, which to me is very important. Gene, I'm going to leave you with this question because I am curious. If you could get, I know there's time in free agency, there's new faces to come, but one Bucs jersey that you don't have where you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to spend a little money, this maybe give it to Zach, maybe spend a little more extra money this year on a jersey. What player on the active roster that you don't currently have would you say, you know what, I'm willing to spend my money there, and that's the jersey I want for the Buccaneers this year?
Levante David.
Yeah.
I don't have a Levante David jersey. It's real easy. A lot of these other guys, it would be kind of hard, but at the end, Levante David is the only answer I really have.
That's easy enough.
Yeah. What about you? Now the Unitas.
Well, it's funny. Honestly, now since he got the contract, I would go with Alec Pierce. I know a lot of people see the contract and go, wow, I can't believe what he got paid. I've watched him year in and year out, and this is a player, Gene, who really, he was actually a cornerback in high school. He changed to wide receiver, went to college, Cincinnati, and every year he's been in the National Football League, he's improved as a player. His first year, he was just kind of there. His second year, he was making some of the big play threats, but it's really valuable when you can send him 50 yards down the field. It doesn't have to be a catch. A pass interference could be drawn, a touchdown in the end zone. So I think, A, because he signed back with us, and B, because I like his growth. And he stayed in Indy over choosing to play for more money somewhere else, which you do not see often. I would go with Alec Pierce.
What about a Quentin Nelson, maybe?
I do love Quentin Nelson. My dad had his jersey. I hope that he is a lifer on the Indianapolis Colts. And you know the reason you brought up Levante David. In a few years, I will see Quentin Nelson in the same light where they just did things the right way. They're Hall of Famers. They're all pros. Of course, Quentin Nelson has to prove it a little bit longer, but he's been around now since 2018.
Yeah.
He's just the ultimate professional. And, Gene, I think we're both kind of those guys we talked about up here. To me, I'd rather have a player who has it up here than with his feet.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's the guy that I wanted the Bucs. I really wanted the Bucs to figure out a way to get him, man. I mean, wave your magic wand and bring that guy here because just everything that I've seen from him. In the combine and just watching him even before that, you knew that this guy was NFL ready. And he more than proved that as soon as he got in the NFL. So, yeah, most definitely.
Last thing for me, I do want to give a shout out to Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Not a lot of baseball fans, maybe always, but I'm a huge one. And they held the Dominican Republic, who is one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in this tournament, to one run last night. It was held down by Paul Skeens.
They had like 52 runs through this whole tournament so far.
Exactly. And they have guys like Tatis, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Acuna. I can go on and on with the names. It's a very productive lineup and not an old lineup either. It has a lot of good talent. And Gene, we talk about camaraderie and things coming together. To me, nothing is better than seeing these countries come together and just love it. It's not about themselves. It's about showing up for your country and trying to do the best at it. And I think in these tournaments sometimes, whether it's the Olympics, whether it's the World Baseball Classic or the Four Nations in hockey, when you have pride in your country and want them to win, sometimes that brings out the best in what we got in sports.
Yep. And I can tell you, I wanted to kind of tell you a story about the Dominican Republic, which is kind of funny. I had a lot of friends in Tampa that played for the Yankees that, had got me in to meet a lot of the Dominican players when they played over in Miami. And I think this was 2007. And we went down there to the hotel room. Somebody had gotten a bathtub full of beer, Presidente, full of beer and ice in this bathtub. And they lost to Puerto Rico, by the way. And those cats were hung over the next day, and that's why they lost. It was because of that. So I don't know but I know that this team they're always talented. And the running joke is you don't walk off the island. You got to hit your way off the island. And those guys, you got some batters that are just like out of this world. And year after year after year, they always have talent. So, shout out to them. It was a valiant effort. The United States has really shown that they belong. And it's going to be a really good, I'm thinking, I don't know why, but I'm thinking Italy. I think Italy may win this. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and that's tonight, I think, against Venezuela.
Yeah. Venezuela versus Italy. So definitely going to tune into that and see what happens. And you know what? We made it an hour. Hopefully Tones will give us another chance to do this again. So
hey, Gene, I'd love to have you back on Cleve and me as well. I know this isn't a wrestling podcast, but I know
we will. Let's link up, man. I've got a little bit better of a setup now. It's not as good as I wanted, but at least I could get on and chop it up with you guys and, talk about the pay-per-views coming up and, kind of get your thoughts on some of this other stuff. So, yeah, definitely.
I love your history wrestling, too. That's what I love about it. You bring all different sides. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my final thoughts, and I'll go to your final thoughts. My final thoughts is we need each other more than ever. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. I don't care about any of that. We, as human beings, we all need each other right now more than ever. There's so much division that doesn't need to be there. I don't care what team you like, unless you're Dallas or Atlanta, you're kind of excluded from this conversation. But everybody else in the world, I really want us all to come together. All joking aside, I just, I think, if you got beef with somebody, cook it up and eat it and get rid of it. And we just really need to come together as people, because I don't know what's going to happen from day to day. Everything can just get eviscerated, but there's so many good people in this world, more good people than bad. And, I just wish that we could all come together, and I hope that we can at some point.
And to piggyback on that, I'll give the fans out there one little homework assignment. By the time we reach this time tomorrow, reach out to a loved one that you haven't talked to in a while. Just say, hey, or a buddy that, you haven't hit up for a few months. Just see how they're doing. Just say, hey, what's up? I was thinking about you. That can go a long way. And again, I think that's so important in today's society. Gene, you hit it right on the head. Reach out to those who care. And don't make your circle shorter just because you're too busy.
Yeah. You make time for the things you really want. So make that one of them. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. The next time you open your eyes, will Tones be back?
He will be back. We will be back. We'll be the next big show will be Saturday. This week's a little bit broken up.
Big show.
Well, it's the big G. But yes, we'll be all back this Saturday. Tones will get back towards the end of the week. March Madness is coming up. Do not forget to fill out your brackets, people. That's something that gets always the people talking. It's good office chatter. It's good, chatter with the boys, with the ladies, wherever you might be. Get those bracketings, fill them out. Even if you do it for free or not, who cares? It's about the pride of your brackets. So
hey, I do my brackets after the season's over so I can get them all right.
It's the first time I'd be perfect in life, that's for sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody. And we're going to go ahead and jump off of here. And thanks for checking out the Buccateers. Like and subscribe. Tones is doing a wonderful job with this, man, and we all appreciate it. You could be going somewhere else, but you're here, and that's greatly appreciated. Everybody have a good night. Peace.